Today is September 16th, 2021. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York. These are this is the channel guide. It's ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. And then these are the number channels, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, that television works off of. Now, what I find incredibly interesting is that President Trump has a book coming out, or is out, I don't know, I just heard, something called Peril, P-E-R-I-L. Now, Biden's now president. Now, I'm confused because it says that that Biden became president, which means that Trump's not president anymore. But now, like, the news, the way that they're speaking sounds like there's some kind of lap over. And then there's something about General Milley in here. And now, he does not come on our normal television. I don't know where he's from. But the only reference that the news journalists and broadcast artists in this area, they only reference him in relation to Trump's book. And I don't know, because I don't have national news, what that's in relation to. Now, this is the flag, kind of, sort of, it's not the regulation, but it's the closest I have as an example of where or what we fly symbolically over here. And then there's a black and white flag, excuse me, as well. But it just confuses me because apparently this gentleman spoke, and then to add to that, there was a symbol, the symbol that they use for DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security. I saw a gentleman in an important uniform, but I don't recognize from where, but looked more white shirt and black, with a black hat with a gold emblem up here, speaking. I think they referenced him as Capitol Police, which I think is Washington, if I caught the story correct, if whatever the humans are speaking and presenting. It's the only information I have to go off of to learn the system. But the Department of Homeland Security apparently does some kind of security brief or something, but I don't know how often it is because I don't have access to it. And the mayor of New York City does a much lesser, because he just wears a regular suit. He doesn't wear like a valise suit, like of an official capacity. He just wears a regular, and he doesn't even wear a three-piece suit. He just wears a tie and a shirt, and for the mayor of New York City. And he sometimes does like a questions and answers thing, but not all the time. Him, I've just recently on public access was able to catch. But for some reason, in really scary things, Department of Homeland Security, their messages don't come through. And I don't know if there's other agencies that are working that are in my blind spot, because I don't have access. They don't come on that set of packaged broadcasting in the area of New York State. And I'm personally in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. At this time, I have a Verizon box, but I'm noticing that I'm missing some of the very important faces.
According to the book, Milley said in an Oval Office meeting, it is not an issue for the United States military to deploy forces on the streets of America, Mr. President. On June 1st, when protests broke out across from the White House, the others right, Trump was furious, telling top officials, "We look weak, we don't look strong." That night, U.S. Park Police used riot control techniques to clear the park. Milley.
That kind of riot doesn't happen around my area. I've never seen that happen before. The humans are much more docile where I am.
Milley, wearing his camouflage uniform, accompanied Trump and other top officials across Lafayette Square for what turned into a widely criticized photo opportunity.
And when
The
this
book quotes
happened,
Milley telling his
when this happened, where, I mean, something's boarded up, they don't really say here. I don't know the date, but it never made nightly news or daily news in New York.
security chief, "This is a political event and I'm out of here." 10 days later, he apologized, calling it a mistake.
I should not have been there. My presence in that moment and in that environment created a perception of the military involved in domestic politics.
Republican Trump supporters
That said June 11th, 2020. I'm in September. That said June 11th, 2020 for Milley on the TV. I'm personally in September 16th, 2021. I never even heard or saw what he was speaking about because the news does not reach New York, which I know, I think, when I think about it, it sounds absolutely crazy because they say like New York is, you know, like an epicenter of a whole theatrical movie box set. There's so many movies like epicentric around New York City. I particularly don't have a fond memory of being here, but I know that it's a vacation. It's like a point of destination, or it was at least. And it's well known about one of the well-known cities on the Repagel or on the map. But it's not well versed in anything global, worldly, or involved because the citizens don't actually hear what the rest of the world is experiencing, which is really scary. So I just want to point that out this morning. I'm Nicole Cattaruzza, and it's star 1978, and it's star 8378.
Congress are calling for an investigation and for Milley to be fired. Defense Secretary Austin is standing by him, and many retired officers say that his talks with the Chinese were an appropriate effort to reassure an adversary after the tumultuous January 6th attack.
And then that whole headline, like they do these headlines and catchphrases, like he talked to Chinese, or he is gonna get fired. It's confusing where the humans come up with these low-level ideas of putting things together that don't make sense in order to communicate something totally frivolous, but never actually getting any intelligence out to the public. I mean, like, why even bother making the effort at that point?
Craig.
Chief Washington Correspondent Andrew Mitchell. Andrew, thank you.
19 minutes after the hour. Couldn't get that straight. Miss Dylan. How you doing, Dylan?
It's something o'clock. We are still keeping an eye on post-tropical cyclone Nicholas down in Louisiana, where we do have some flood watches in effect because this whole system is moving so slowly. And while it's not pouring right now in several areas, we are going to see that increase as we go into this afternoon. So this isn't like a widespread swath of rain that's going to move through, but as long as this area of low pressure hangs around, we're going to see spotty showers and thunderstorms.
I'm not in an
and some
area.
of
I'm not
those
in
could
this
produce 50
area. I'm
inches of
in
rain
the
per
north
hour on top of
area.
an already very saturated ground. That could lead to more flooding, and this is going to be the case through the day today, through the day tomorrow as well, all across the New Orleans area, through Alabama, through the panhandle of Florida as well. We could see storm totals with this whole...
But on that note as well, I also have noticed that when the few times that I have gone outside of New York, the newscasters, the weather people, and the cast of the morning news, the evening news, and so on and so forth, they're different. There's not like one set for all of the state of New York or one set of journalists that cover all of the United States of America. There's like individual broadcasts that use the same umbrella station. Like they might all work for, say, NBC or CBS, but they have different messengers within that one umbrella of NBC or CBS or Fox or whatever. And then they have individual journalists that change on, I mean, like there's few that are set faces that have like a regular position, and then there's a lot of transient, like spot here, spot there, of people that their faces are not recognizable because they're not a regular feature. They appear and then they disappear. There's no set course, and there's no, you have to have something repeated in nature to make a channel, but they're not, it's a really hard concept. I mean, I know what I mean. It's just to find the words for it at the moment, it eludes me. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. But I just want, since I'm doing this log update while I'm not well in New York, in fact, I'm actually being harmed by the weather machine, the weather pattern, and an unbeknownst set and crew tampering with all sorts of algorithms and all sorts of settings in a place I can't find words for to point people in the right direction, nor to get myself out of this situation. But the tell-a-vision news here doesn't tell the whole vision of what's going on at any given point or period of time. It has a very narrow view, and I'm not in charge of it. It's, again, whoever's in charge of broadcasting and journalism in New York State. I don't have a name or who's responsible for it. No idea how that works. While they have me here in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, I get little clips of the radiological transmission, but for the most part, none of these people are real. I can see their face, and some of them, because they've been repeated so much, the name sounds familiar in the household. Nobody talks about them when the TV goes off, but it's just kind of a stake in space and time, just for orientation. But are they important? No. Never met them, never spoken to them, and have no idea what's really going on, or what they're hiding from what's really most imperative.